perfectly nice bourbon available.
Joe Biden's $2 million walker with GPS and anti-theft deterrents.
Tricked out by West Coast Customs.
It even has a little heads-up display, so if he's asked questions, he can answer them.
It's got spinners.
Fidget spinners on the side.
No, Chris Rock did a bit about spinners once. He's like, this is why black people can have money, but they'll never have wealth. Because you give a white guy money and he invests it in stocks and bonds. You give it to a black man and he'll put spinners on everything. Oh, we've got a toaster with spinners on it. Anyway, listen, Chris Rock made the joke. I'm just repeating it. Don't call me a racist.
Still looking forward to G.I. Jane Part 2.
Wow.
Oh boy.
What? Too soon?
Will Smith?
I don't think.
No, I think the timing was just right.
I think
He is St. Paul, the voice of reason. He can be found here on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Hey, listen, I hope it's not unfair to say this, but if Will Smith wanted to show up here at the mall and slap the crap out of your mouth,
you'd be all for it.
I'd let him do it because we'd be famous in a heartbeat.
Listen, you got a fair point, and can I just say, in my defense, I'm not worried about Will Smith showing up here to slap me. He ain't got the balls.
Wow.
Jada Pinkett Smith has them in her purse.
Oh.
Did I say that out loud? I was thinking it. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Just bleh, out.
And I trust you to self-censor yourself.
I did, right? I did. I made it.
Okay. Anyway, how's your guys' week going? How's everything? You know what? We don't have any guests at all tonight. I think we should do intros.
Oh boy.
See, did you see everybody's excitement? Everybody was jumping up and
Why
down.
is nobody happy about it? We don't have to do intros.
No,
you know, we
I'm
can-
doing.
I'm
I'm fine. I have a playlist for intros.
Do you have a playlist also?
Yes.
for
Oh,
intros?
yes. The hit of a switch. I'm ready.
Okay.
I just have to look through said playlist and focus.
That's fair. To my right,
No.
and
you
I
don't get to
no
introduce me.
stop, Kevin.
No,
Kevin. For
you
years,
don't get to
I've been-
hijack my
no,
segment. This
I'm
is
not hijacking. anything.
I didn't
I'm just
hijack
gonna
your
introduce
segments
you.
when you wanted to talk about Nibiru and Planet X and
Ladies and gentlemen,
12-foot
this is the
giants.
only show
Yeah.
where you will hear two men talking about
Bigfoot.
don't jack me.
Yeah.
as opposed to Trojan, who's a Cowboys fan, they talk about that all the time.
When looking for Bigfoot, all I found was Kevin's wallet and some wadded up tissue paper. I don't know what was going on.
Ooh.
Amen.
Found
So-
in a room at Omo.
So are you going to let me introduce you, or we're going to wait for us to go all the way around?
No, you don't get to introduce me
Why not?
because I used to
Why
let
are you-
people introduce me, and I'm so
Yeah.
nice to you when I introduce you. I
And
give
you don't think I was
props.
going to be nice
No,
to you?
you never are.
Yes,
Every opportunity you
I
have to
certainly-
take a swipe at me,
Well,
you're
now
like, he's still single after all these years.
I
Like,
didn't
come on,
say
I know
that.
what's coming. I know
didn't,
what's
I
coming.
didn't say that. Ladies,
You
he
two
is
sound
single,
like
by the
an
way.
episode of The Honeymooners.
To the moon, Alice. To the moon.
To the moon.
Yeah.
All right. We won't do intros. Hey.
Oh my God.
What? No.
All of that, and you're like, we won't do intros.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on my left, he's been my co-host for the better part of 22 years or so, which equals about 8 minutes of good radio. He wears a scarf like no other.
That's true.
I mean, Elton John sent an email to Paul asking for instructions how to wear that kind of a scarf.
Can't do a scarf like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has more air blowing out of him than the hurricane. Ladies and gentlemen, it is St. Paul, the voice of reason.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Such a great introduction. For the record, people are dying in that hurricane. Not cool.
Prove it. Prove it. I have not seen any
Cool,
reports
cool,
of fatalities yet.
Cool. Cracking
Now, in a
news,
couple
Kevin.
hours, there will be.
Yeah.
Right now, they just can't get in there to find them. But
There you
until it's proven, you're just spreading fake news, brother.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. I became a Democrat overnight. So here's I'm going to give a big shout out to the man on my left.
Thank you.
The man that has more creative talents than anybody else in this studio, I believe. Of course, Boss Baby sitting out there. Well, and your talents are edible. And God bless them for it.
My undies are edible.
That's disturbing. That's disturbing. To my direct left, Thomas, whatever, it's Tom from Black Ring Spirits. I can never say it right.
El Negro said it's El Negro.
No, I ain't saying that, dude. It sounds
Negro?
wrong. If it comes
No,
out
it's
wrong,
Spanish, man.
it's
It's
gonna sound
Negro.
terrible.
Spanish
I'm
or
not.
what?
I'm Polish, man. I can screw up anything.
Can you roll your R?
All
Next.
No. Stop it, show off. It's little Black Tommy.
Black Tommy.
Hey
My
guys.
God, ladies and gentlemen, and that's gonna wrap up tonight's show. We'll see you Sunday.
Maybe.
Well, to my sort of left. I guess it'd be my left if we're going in a circle.
Yes.
I'll introduce both the ladies. We've got the CEO hiding off camera as usual.
Well,
And-
there's a reason for that.
Oh,
Yeah, she never likes to be on camera. We haven't figured out what the reason is yet.
oh.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Because of the millions
And
millions of
plus
men that would
all
stalk
four.
her afterwards.
Yeah.
Witness protection program.
There you go. Witness protection.
That's right.
And somewhere around here.
Boss baby put herself in a corner, right back there.
She's in a different corner.
Yep.
She's out here where the real talent is.
All the smart people are on the other side of the glass. Well,
Don't sneeze.
Margie wants to know what we've been sipping. Nothing yet, Margie, but give it time.
Are you going to provide it, Margie? Because Tom is always looking for new recipes.
I'm open to new recipes.
Here we go. Amen. All right. We got to make a schnapps. Let's make a schnapps.
Oh man, I've been actually toying with the idea of making a Crowder schnapps.
I'm not sure what Crowder schnapps.
Crowder schnapps.
Yeah, that.
You know what Jägermeister is?
Yes. Black licorice?
That's
Oh,
Crowder.
crud. Hi,
Can
Kev.
we finish introducing
Yeah.
Dennis? Can we introduce
My
Dennis?
bad.
Oh my God.
I know.
You guys
come
got
on.
alcohol in the brain. You're like, oh, screw everybody else. Let's talk about schnapps. What are you,
Well,
90?
I didn't know who was I introduced the ladies. I didn't know who was
What are you,
next. We just got this
87
weird
Paul?
sidebar
Schnapps?
going.
Okay, I'll introduce.
You used to drink cool alcohol. Now you want schnapps.
Behind the spit-proof glass,
COVID proof.
DJD, a legend in his own mind, and nobody can ever take it from him.
That's true.
And God bless you for that legendary status, Dennis.
Thank you. I took all of my legend lessons from K-Dog.
Thank you.
Between,
By the way-
I don't know who's worse, you or Debbie. It's like you guys, you inflate his ego. Like, wow. I
By the
take all my
way-
cool lessons from
Okay.
K-Dog.
Okay, no, not my cool lessons, but come on, my legend lessons.
By the
Legend
way,
lessons.
if you'd like to be a learn to be a legend
See,
like
I
me,
used to be very humble,
Yeah.
and all that,
Now you're
but
not.
working with Kevin for decades and decades, I have learned the error in my ways.
and our next lesson, Dennis, will be how you can be glorious too. By the way, if you'd like to learn how to be a legend like me, lessons are available for only $49.99. There you go. Elbows down. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, God.
broadcasting live from the mothership, the greatest voice that Kitsap County Radio has ever known. Greater than Paul, greater than... Who was the guy that did the morning show with you back in the day? Henry? Hank? What was his name?
His name was Donovan. You're not, even close.
But hey, I got a sexy radio voice.
I am
don't
the
care.
Hulk Hogan of Kitsap County Radio.
You're clipping
I
the
am
mic.
a legend.
You're literally
I am
clipping the sound,
amazing.
Kevin.
I am glorious.
Dude, sounds like that guy. You remember the Heath Ledger film? Knight's Tale? Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
You do great at introducing the real man on horseback fighting with toothpicks.
By the way, Debbie's
This
on.
is the most Benny Hinn thing I have ever experienced
isn't
in my life,
I know.
and I've been to a Benny Hinn.
Did you go to one of them revivals?
Yes, I
Wait a
did.
minute. Look at Dennis's face.
Huh.
Does he look like he could be related to Benny Hinn? He's got a little Benny Hinn
No,
face to him now.
no way.
All right.
Kenny Rogers, maybe.
I would have moved in
Kenny
and
Rogers.
lied.
Kenny Rogers post all of that 70-year-old plus plastic surgery he had. When
Whoa.
suddenly his face looked like it was being held together by a rack.
Oh, yeah, a rack.
Right? Dude, it looked like somebody was stretching all the skin tight on his
Yeah.
face. The poor
Yeah,
guy.
he had to go get plastic surgery and then go to Home Depot.
Right? Dude.
By the way, Debbie is
Sorry.
on assignment, and by on assignment, I mean she's in chat. So, so Debbie is
Well,
here.
she
but
said she was still
she's
at
here,
work.
but not really here.
Okay.
But she's in chat. So,
Okay.
all right. So now that that's out of the way,
It's like being with you in spirit.
Hey, did you hear the big news today? Well, no, that's not, Coolio dying is not the big news today. It's not the big news. It is news, and
Well,
it's very
there's-
sad.
There's lots of news, but why don't you tell us, Kevin, what
we've
the,
been living most our lives. How does that go?
Living in a gangster's paradise.
No, is that the line? Hold on now.
Yes. Yes.
Well, let me just say that if you live in the Kitsap County region, you can go onto the Kitsap Sun's webpage and read about the court order that shut down Paulsbo's Sonic location and 9 others in Washington. However,
Oh,
if you're
court
like
order.
most of us, you can't actually read it because those guys decide to charge you after 2 articles.
That's right.
So piss off.
It's been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise.
Why is I
couldn't tell you why it's closed.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
had
can't
the
tell
right
you.
conclusion,
I'm kind of sad about
even though you led us down the wrong path.
Can I?
Dude, that sounds like what I told my followers last
Can
week.
I share you
Church.
just a quick snippet of the greatness that was Coolio?
Yeah.
Power and the money and the power, minute after minute,
Hour after hour.
Everybody's running, but half them ain't looking. It's going on in the kitchen, but I don't know what's cooking. The Rock knows what's cooking. Anyway.
That rap just hurt my brain. Kevin, please either don't do that ever again, or the next time we're out together on a karaoke night,
Yeah.
you have to do it.
Okay, we'll see about that. Well, at least we know why Sonic is closed is due to court order, because the last thing we had heard was that Sonic closed, but nobody had a good reason why. Just them and seven,
I can't
seven,
tell you
eight
now.
Other, well, it just says court order.
Yeah,
Well,
I
So
can't tell you.
clearly
Did-
somebody was skimming some fries off the milkshakes.
No, that wouldn't.
Oh, I was going to say, is that a franchise?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it says 9 others were closed as well in
including-
Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what any of those details are. We're just a radio show. We like to use local news sources, but apparently they don't like that very much, which is why they shipped off so many jobs overseas. But that's only because they support the local population and folks that need jobs here locally, and then they beg you to get a subscription. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Listen, I don't think that you should have to pay to access the local news from your.
I'm there with you.
I mean, I just listen. I think they could charge for fluff. Like if you want to charge
Like
for
a Coach Joe Kennedy article.
no. But I think that's news because that involves a school district where our kids go to school.
Well,
So
I figured Dennis would get a kick out of that. He laughed.
I think that's news. But if they want to do a fluff piece about a farmer's market in Paulsbo, that's fluff.
They did a
ahead and
fluff
charge-
piece about a strip club about 22 years ago.
But fluff. Did you get fluffed, Paul?
It was the whole thing was a fluff piece.
But no, if they want to charge for fluff,
You
I'm
hang
cool
out with a fluffer for an hour, see how you feel.
if they want to charge for fluff, I'm totally cool with that. If they
This
wanna,
is a show in need of a guest now.
if they
If you're running for office, like president of your Boy Scout troop,
Back up on the
the 8th grade, the 10th grade, whatever, yeah, come on in right now.
right now,
Town Square Mall.
we'll have you right here.
Okay, go ahead. Lori was
no.
going to tell us about what was the court order about.
Let me finish my statement.
More fluffer.
If they want to charge for like non-newsy pieces, let me put it that way. Public interest pieces, that's fine. But stuff that involves news should be left to the news and should be available to the people in the community, whether that be about Joe Kennedy or the elections or whatever. Can I
tell you what I'd love to see him do
Would you
and
go out
publish
of
for
business?
everybody? No. I would love to see the Sun post names and photographs of all known prostitutes and the Johns they catch them with.
Why?
Oh, because I just think that would be incredibly gratuitous.
Here's to you, Mr. Blossy and the Kitsap Sun guy.
We are
This
talking
one's
about
for you.
We're talking about fluffing, so I don't know.
Thank
It's
you,
okay.
Dennis.
Lori,
That
what
was
were you
good.
going to say? You were going to tell us you found out the reason why they got
Yes. So the Whatcom News does not charge. And
because they're keeping it classy.
Because there's
Right.
6 people in Cedar Woolley that read it.
whoa,
Go ahead.
Whatcom News is Bellingham, dude.
Isn't Cedar Woolley in Whatcom County?
No, that's Skagit.
No,
Come on.
yeah,
Oh, you're
that's
right, you're right.
Come
Skagit.
on now. You
That's
know
the
that.
north end
You
of
grew up around
Skagit.
there.
Sorry, there's 4 people in Blaine. Go ahead.
Hey, I have a family cabin there. There's
Blaine?
actually 10.
That's like a major appliance. It's not
Hey.
a name.
And when you guys go to Blaine, you double the population. What
And Concrete has a high school.
So
Yes, it does.
half the population of Blaine is my family. Then I have a cousin and her husband who live
There
with
you
me.
go. That's
Ooh.
half of the 4 people that
There
live
you
there.
go. We're the other half. Anyways, so Sonic Industries LLC has court proceedings for default and potential non-operating clauses by a group of franchisees operating in Washington and Oregon, and it's in U.S. District Court in Oklahoma, where Sonic is corporate headquarters.
So
are.
it sounds like a franchisee with a bunch of different locations got into monetary trouble effectively, maybe didn't pay their franchise fees.
There's quite a few franchisees.
Yeah.
But it's Washington and Oregon, and it's a written notice of default and potential termination of license agreement for the Sonic restaurants in Kennewick, Pasco, Wenatchee, Yakima, Ferndale, Poulsbo, Renton, and Ellensburg.
So they owe franchise fees is what it sounds like.
Yeah, this action was said to have been based on franchisees' failure to pay almost $2 million in royalties and fees required under their license agreements.
So I've told people, like, the second business I ever opened was a Mailboxes Etc. franchise. And I will tell you that for me, not having any business experience, it was nice. I learned a lot, right? But I would advise anybody who was ever thinking of opening a franchise of anything, don't do it. Do your own research, open with your own name, because not only do you pay up front for the name, but then you pay royalties on the name for the rest of your life. And like for us, they're like, it's only 9% royalties. Well, think about it. That's like almost as much as your taxes in the first place.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, there are certain things you can't deduct from that. And by the time we added up our deductions and everything, almost 1/5 of all of our profit went back to the corporate headquarters just for the name right off the top of every month. And there was no support for that, just the name.
Right.
And so it just
and then in the restaurant business,
it's even harder.
yeah, because you have to use their products. So
Yep.
like if you
Mhm.
see the GSF big rigs
Yep.
delivering to McDonald's, that's what you're getting is McDonald's product.
Yep.
So yeah.
Absolutely. It's why the hamburgers so
Gray?
taste like
Gray?
like they're just it's
Gray?
got that pink stuff in it, and it's just
Gray?
huh?
Gray.
Gray. Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway.
that's all right. It's all good.
But anyways, the article does state that they're transitioning to new ownership.
Yeah. Well, and that's good because hopefully the
I guess
new
that means they're
owners,
changing their surname.
well, hopefully the new owners will be able to run a restaurant, because that Sonic and Poulsbo,
They had really bad service. for
you
a long
could
time.
not get in there and out of there in less than a half an hour in the drive-thru.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was, I mean, and I'm talking non-peak rush times either. The lines were outrageously bad.
Mhm.
And I know everybody's talking about that nobody wants to work and they can't get staffed and all that, but holy cow, man.
There's a
Jeez.
bit of a
Facts.
transition kind of back to maybe the way things were designed, right? Fast food, for example.
Mhm.
No skill set. Come work for us.
Mhm.
We'll train you. This is a great place for your first job.
We'll pay you crap wages.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they need to be, because people need to be able to get in and out quick, and you're not going to get the cream of the crop, and then you step it up from there. And, maybe you go work for a sit down restaurant so you can make tips and some other things. Then maybe you become a bartender. Then maybe you go into, but there were ways within the system to work your way on up, and it seemed like over the last 10, 15 years, we really got away from that as we saw more and more regions band together and say, we deserve $17 an hour minimum wage, and you're just like, dude, you make burgers, man.
Well, let me say this. I don't have an issue with $17 minimum wage. If the business can afford to pay it, for somebody who works in Seattle, like $17 minimum wage just still isn't going to pay your rent.
No.
So I don't have an
It
issue with them paying it if they can afford it.
As a business, you mean? Yeah.
I am
If-
opposed to the government mandating
Well,
that.
yes, there you go.
But I'm
Yep.
totally fine with a business if they can afford to do it. And I'm totally cool with people holding out for it. Like, if you think you deserve $17 an hour, you want to take a $15 an hour job, cool. Go out there and see what else you can find. Knock yourself out. And if you find it, then great. And if not, you might want to lower your radar a little bit. But I think it's throwing a whole bunch of stuff off. Listen, when I first got a job working for the Department of the Treasury, which is the nice way of saying the Internal Revenue Service. When I first got a job, you know what I made an hour working for the Internal Revenue Service?
When was this? What year? And I'll guess.
2010.
2010. I'd say were you making about 23?
$16.05 an hour
Ooh.
Okay.
Ouch.
as a federal employee. Now, translate that. You're going to pay somebody at McDonald's or Subway more an hour than you're paying a federal employee?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see how that works out. All right, we'll talk about this more in a minute. Outlaw Radio. Admin a la carte are specialized local experts committed to helping you run your small business. From general admin and sales support to marketing, digital media and technology to real estate and compliance. Admin a la carte's only goal is to take your business to the next level. Find out how Admin a la carte can elevate your business. Visit admin-alacarte.com for more information. That's admin-alacarte.com. Admin a la carte. Your business doesn't fit into a box. Why should you have to?
I'm Paige Jarquin, and I'm your candidate for the state representative in the 23rd District, Position 2. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, I want to focus on what we can do better. I believe we can educate our kids better. I believe we can do more with your tax dollars instead of raising taxes. I believe in protecting our individual liberties. I believe that by using common sense and a balanced approach to legislation, together we can overcome the challenges ahead of us and move Washington forward. I'm Paige Jarquin, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Crime is on the rise, drug abuse running rampant, and homelessness is growing in abundance. Because police are prevented from and afraid to do their jobs. Open drug use and drug possession has basically been made legal, and the pathway for accountability and real help is broken and further in despair. All of this is because of my opponent's legislation and the majority party's politics. My name is Janelle Holtz. I will ensure we all have safety, affordability, and accountability for our government to do its job, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Hello, I'm Steve Dunkel, and I am running for Mason County Auditor because the people of Mason County deserve better transparency in how tax dollars are spent, better confidence in our elections, better efficiency in licensing operations, better timeliness in filing county records. I want to build budgets that reflect the priorities of the people. I will work to ensure legal votes are treated as sacred and illegal votes are kept out of the system. It's time for an auditor that will work full-time and follow the law. Vote Steve Dunkel. Vote for change. Paid for by Elect Steve Dunkel, Mason County Auditor.
Imagine a new Washington where we restored public safety, improved our schools, lowered costs, and protected your constitutional rights. I'm Travis Couture, a dad, a proud veteran, and supporter of first responders. I build rockets for a living to defend our nation, and I can tell you, good government is not rocket science. I'm Republican Travis Couture. I'm endorsed by law enforcement, and I'd appreciate your vote for State House in the 35th District. Paid for by committee to elect Travis Couture, Republican.
Kitsap County is seeing record-setting crime. Cars are getting stolen, stores are getting robbed, and temporarily appointed Sheriff Giese is playing politics. He even endorsed the very Democrats who voted to defund the police and end pursuits. That won't keep our families safe. That's why I support Rick Coos. He's a veteran with a master's degree in criminal justice, and he'll stand for us.
I'm Rick Coos, and as your county sheriff, I will never put politics above public safety.
Teaser.
Oh, are we
20
back on
seconds.
Facebook? 20 seconds. Hey, it's Outlaw Radio. Coming up next, we're going to see if we can go another 30 minutes without Paul bringing up my deplorable social life. Stick around. More of the Outlaw Radio Network after this.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
All right, Outlaw Radio.
Can I say that it's 30 days?
7:32. What?
30 days until your miraculous vacation.
Yes, I leave.
You're going to
30
be
days
taking
from
an
today.
amazing cruise around some islands and places in Florida that are currently getting the snot kicked out of them.
No,
Hopefully there's some places left there.
No, I'm not.
Cuba and the Bahamas are without power now. I mean, it's just
I'm going to be on the other side. Bahamas wasn't ever hit with
Where-
power. Bahamas
hold
wasn't.
on.
It went down.
Are you going to the Bahamas?
Yes, but the Bahamas didn't get hit by that. It went around them.
Yeah,
They,
yes.
they might get hit tomorrow when
Yes.
it leaves the east coast of Florida.
Yeah,
but
because
they
it
haven't
might
hit
go
yet.
left, right, or straight.
I think it'll go straight
Yeah.
up. I think
So
it'll go
our-
right back into South Carolina.
Our good friend of the show, who's been on several times over the years, Mike Peroni, works for the sheriff's department down there in Jacksonville. He's their IT guy. I suppose during this
Tag, you're it.
this kind of situation,
Get it?
the
IT guy?
IT is kind of probably not really that busy because there's not a lot for him to do when there's no power. But
Well, yeah, when the wires are no longer connected,
Right, right.
the computers don't work.
Well, the storm's getting pretty bad down there, I guess. So he sent me a link, and he has this his own private what do you call it, weather station set up at his house, and I thought that was pretty cool. So like he sent it to me so I can like look and see what the wind speed is at his house, how much rain has fallen, and everything else. He's only 33 feet above sea level, but that should be enough. He should be fine from the storm surge. But I don't know, rough storm, man, rough storm down there, and I hope everybody comes through it okay.
Can I ask a question?
Of who? Me?
Yeah. Well, of everyone.
Okay.
So every time one of these disasters hit,
Yes.
we hear stories about how rescuers are risking their lives to pull people out of areas where there were mandatory evacuation orders. Should they be doing that? Like, I'm not trying to be smarmy, right? But if there's a mandatory evacuation order and you say, screw you, I'm going to stay in my house and I'm going to ignore the mandatory evacuation order, should anybody be risking their lives to come get you out when you ignored the order in the first place?
I have what about the people that can't evacuate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's those
who
people.
can't evacuate.
The people who can't.
You know,
Yeah.
so imagine
Like who?
Wheelchair bound, if they don't have family to help
They
them.
can get evacuated.
Hold on. How
the county and the cities will get them out.
Okay. Imagine our area has hurricane problems. Can you
we're
imagine-
really in trouble if that happens.
Right. Can well, I'm
Global
just saying,
warming.
let's trade weather with Florida for a bit. Can you imagine trying to evacuate the homeless homeless population of King and Pierce County? Just those two.
Right.
And I think you bring up an excellent point. And we have you had special accoutrements built for you, both your parents who were special needs, who were downstairs.
Accoutrements? That's a big word, dude.
Well, that's what
Accommodations.
accommodations.
Thank you, Lori,
yeah.
for speaking English. Quit
I mean,
talking Latin. Paul.
I appreciated your
Yeah,
word choice there, Paul.
It's
I did.
the
was
whole
good.
point is, imagine if you had 10 minutes and you had to evacuate them by yourself.
But that's but they haven't had 10 minutes. They've had days. There's been several days of pre-warning for this, right?
And 1,000 police officers and 1.5 million people.
Right.
Like what? There's only so many of them, and they can only do so much.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just asking the question
Sure.
because it seems crazy to me that every time there's a major catastrophe like this, we hear stories about people risking their lives to go get people out of areas that had mandatory evacuations.
I think that they have a responsibility to do that, and there's lots of reasons why people stay. People stay because maybe they have pets and they have animals. They may have a special connection to their home, and everything okay over there? Sounds like there's an alarm. Okay. Dennis, were you smoking again? No.
The roof.
The roof.
The roof is on fire. We don't, huh?
It's the lift. He's fixing the
Oh, it's a lift. Okay.
So anyway, what I was going to say is that, like I would feel compelled, right?
I already got complained about my weed smoke. Leave me alone.
Yeah, right. I would feel compelled, I think, to want to stay in my home as long as my home was going to be higher than the storm surge, because you ain't stopping nothing. When it comes to that storm surge, it might as well be a tsunami. It's just not traveling as fast, but you can't do anything. But if I'm in a situation where I'm going, if I can stay here and I have extra supplies, wood, screws, nails, whatever, right? And I start, and something punches my roof or my ceiling, and I can get up there and I can fix it. Some people feel like they want to stay because they want to be there to help protect their investment. I think what a lot of people don't realize, though, is that you're not going to ever beat Mother Nature, ever. Lori?
And then I have family down there right now, and we're in communication. But like my sister, she had to work today. She's an assistant manager at Home Depot out on the East Coast of Florida. And so she had to go to work last night.
At least she can stay in that building and be safe.
No, they had to leave.
They had to leave their buildings? Those buildings are built like a brick poop house, man.
Yeah, they are. And so she...
Dennis, I self-censored.
But anyways, last night she was supposed to leave at 5. And then earlier today when I talked to her, she said, no, we're leaving at 4. We're closing up. And I asked her, because in Florida, the highways don't have a maximum speed limit. They have a suggested minimum, and if you go the minimum, which
Really,
is 60,
I didn't know that. So it's kind of like the Autobahn.
Yeah, if you go 60, you're getting a ticket. So when I went down there for 2 weeks,
But if you go 60 and you said they don't have any upper speed limit, is that too slow?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Oh yeah, I got warned. So I started doing 80 and 90, and then I came back home and had to slow down before I got a ticket. But anyways, so they race through everything. And then where my sisters and my niece and my great niece live is the St. John River, or St. John's River, which they're predicting is going to overflow its banks by about 5 feet.
Wow.
Because of the storm
It's flat.
surge.
Florida's flat.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
so this is devastation.
A driveway here for most of us would look like a mountain to them. It was when I went to boot camp down in Kentucky. The things around here like Green Mountain and stuff. I mean, that stuff, those are mountains to folks down there. And I just remember hearing all for like a week leading up to this road march, we're going to walk this. And they were describing the whole mountain we were going to be climbing and everything like that. And literally when I got to it, this thing was the same size as the hill my grade school is on in Cariotis. And so, yeah, it was just like, this is not a mountain, man. They're like, when you're walking up and it's so steep, you can put your hands out and touch the road in front of you. Ridiculous BS.
I just, for people who are in obvious flooding issues, if they're at or below sea level.
Yeah.
Like you were talking earlier, if I know I've got the supplies, I want to ride it out.
Yeah.
I think it's different if you know that you're at or below. If you're at risk of storm surge,
well,
I think it's different.
I'd like to think that people in hurricane areas learned after Katrina. Mm-hmm. Things will not go according to plan. You're not going to beat Mother Nature, even if you think you're going to be safe, right? Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, the building codes in Florida are a lot different, and for good reasons, because they have hurricanes there. Yep. Our building codes, we could not sustain a Category 1 hurricane here. Mm-mm. If we got hit by, almost all these houses would be rubble. Yes. We're just not. Now, earthquakes, different story, but not 100-mile-an-hour sustained winds.
115 earlier today. I don't know about right now, but yeah, like you said, when I was down staying at my niece's house, they're concrete, and before they even pour the concrete, there's cinder block under that to level it out and everything. So their housing construction is way different.
But if you live in a manufactured home down there, forget it. Get out.
Yeah, you're out.
Yep, just get out.
Why? There were 47 tornadoes that touched down in the hours preceding the hurricane. 47 little ones, like little
on the west coast of Florida.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
so
little ones, not big ones. We're not talking like F5s or whatever, but we're talking little tornadoes. But there was one that ripped off the top of a school, one that ripped off the top of a apartment complex.
Right.
And,
I will tell you, because this is kind of a guilty little desire that I have when it comes to hurricanes. There's something that I really want to do, and it's on my bucket list.
What?
I want to go down with my metal detectors and comb the beaches of Florida after the hurricane.
Okay.
Because there's it's estimated about 60 to 70 sunken Spanish galleons along the coastline there. So after a hurricane comes through, it washes up a lot of sand. You'll find gold coins on the beach, gold necklaces, all kinds of stuff that washes up from those shipwrecks.
You could fly out tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I'm married.
I don't think you could land anywhere down there right now.
No. You'd have to land in Georgia.
Take a seaplane. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Did everything come out all right in the end, boss baby? Never mind.
Anyway,
we love you.
Did you? So, did you? I was going to ask about this earlier. Did you hear about the big issue with the Nord Stream pipeline?
The Nord Stream pipeline, if I'm understanding correctly, is falling under increased attacks. Basically, it's being hit by either terrorists or somebody.
Well, something happened today. Today.
Why were you pointing at yourself? Are you the one doing it? Were you flying back and forth out there?
Saying us, like U.S. or Russia.
Okay. I think it's Russian nationalists. I think it's people that are But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Well, so today they detected explosions near the Nord Stream pipeline off the coast of Sweden, and the pipeline's been ruptured. Now, there's 2 pipelines that run there. So there's some important things to keep in mind here. There's 2 pipelines that run there. Neither one is operational. One had gas going to it that was cut off after Russia invaded Ukraine. The other one was a line that was supposed to go to Germany.
It was natural gas, I think.
That never had gas run through it because they never finished it before Russia invaded Ukraine. So this is... There's also reports of Russian warships that were in the area.
They were right here off the coast of the United States this last week.
Right. So a couple of things I'm going to say. It is probably obvious that the Russians had something to do with it, right? They had warships in the area. There were explosions. I would only guess those are mines. But
what are you? I'm sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt, but you're saying you think Russia had something to do with
the international community is now saying they think Russia had something to do with
that. Russia bombed themselves.
That Russia took out the pipelines.
What would their motivation be?
I have no idea, but only because there were Russian warships in the area and there were explosions. You don't have explosions at the bottom of the ocean floor for no reason. There has to be a reason why something down there would explode. And so the argument is, well, there's been Russian warships in there. Maybe they did it. But I want to put a break on something.
Okay.
Because the media, specifically CNN, is trying to hype this thing up as a big deal. And it's not a big deal because it was Russia's pipeline. On top of that, here's the line that's on CNN's front page. Gas is pouring out of the Nord Stream pipelines. That's not true. Gas is not pouring out of the Nord Stream pipelines. There was gas in the pipelines that were under pressure. Okay. If you have a pipe at the middle of the ocean, you have to maintain pressure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, the water pressure crushes it, right? So you have to maintain pressure. So that was the gas that was in the pipelines. Was there gas? Sure. Is gas pouring out of the Nord Stream pipeline? No. That implies there's running gas. Like this is what was that in the Gulf? The drilling, the oil rig that blew up and you had a whole bunch of oil going into the ocean. That is not what this is. There is some oil. There is some gas. It's going to cause some environmental issues, but we're not talking about like an open valve of natural gas spewing into the North Atlantic. That's not what we're talking about. This is a non-issue. This continues to be the media trying to push us into a bigger altercation with Russia.
Agreed.
And that's scarier than Russia blowing up its own stupid pipeline.
Well, you guys know how I like to just, if I'm going to try to figure something out and learn about it, I do. At the UN, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister for Russia, gave a presentation. You know, everybody else is lying. We're the victims kind of BS. And then he went and did a press conference. So I listened to the press conference. And to me, as it is to most people that follow this, it's blatantly obvious what the plan is going forward. Putin is losing. And because Putin is losing, he has to save face within his own country. You look at what happened with the hostage exchange last week, how they told the people of Russia one thing and then released the hostages, because the people of Russia would not have been happy turning all of those people, giving all those prisoners of war, because those prisoners that were at the Avastal steel plant were the ones who were labeled as the Nazis.
Right.
So basically that's saying, all the people I started this war were the Nazi soldiers. I just gave them back to Ukraine. Well, we're in a situation now where he's throwing around the word nuke and the idea of tactical nuclear weapons. And by the way, people, and I'll talk about this in a bit, when we say tactical nuclear weapon, that is not the same as an ICBM falling out of the sky with 8 warheads, MIRV warheads, right? These are not the same of intensity or destructive power. They are annexing already all of the territory right now where Russian soldiers control it. It's almost like a kid playing a game where, like, you know, you're shooting each other, bang, 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 and then the one guy goes, "No, I have a deflector shield," right? And he fakes. It's a way of literally deflecting. That was terrible. But the idea is that if Russia controls the territory in Ukraine right now, the people that live there, they are quote unquote having them vote on autonomy and absorbing them into Russia, which basically means then that the conflicts that are still going on there, Russia can then turn around and say, because Vladimir Putin knows the people of Russia will not accept him using nuclear weapons if it doesn't fall under the parameters set forth in the Russian constitution. So by declaring these parts of Ukraine now Russia,
the motherland.
Yep, he can say, I'm defending my motherland, right?
Yep.
Now I can use tactical nukes, thus changing it. Now when you listen to Sergei Lavrov speak, whether I like him or don't like him, all of the reasons and excuses Russia gave to the side about why they invaded, but he said, listen, per the Hague charters, and there's not just one, there's two, he goes, those charters say specifically that he goes, the United States and NATO are not allowed to say that they are neutral. They are clearly participants per the Hague resolutions because they are providing not only material supply, but they are supplying intelligence as well. And he even named, oh my gosh, what's his name? Tesla dude.
Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk named Elon Musk and said he's provided tactical, his Starlink.
Yeah.
So basically, per Russia, he's now a war criminal.
Yeah.
So they're laying out all of these reasons to justify all of this stuff. And he's effectively saying, once this is over with and we declare this part of Russia, if you attack us, we'll use nukes. And that's what they're setting the stage for. Go ahead.
So back to Sweden and the gas lines.
Mhm.
Why were the warships already in place? In your opinion, I'm just curious if you have a theory.
Well, the
because I have
warships
a
that I
different
was
theory.
referring to were in the Bering Sea. It was actually Russian and Chinese ships working together in tandem on quote unquote maneuvers, but they were in the Bering Sea and within, visual eye shot of U.S. land. So, it's they had pictures of them from the shore of the ships and stuff. But
No, I'm talking about Sweden.
yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know
Okay.
why any ships were in Sweden. I had not read about
Okay.
Russian
Well,
ships in
so
Sweden.
keep in mind where the pipelines are is off the coast of Sweden, but that's a normal maritime traffic lane. I mean,
Right,
if you think
right.
about the shape
Their
of,
North Sea and St. Petersburg
Mhm.
is a port city. So
But do you think that Russia, as a country, not nationalist but
yeah,
military, did something to the gas lines?
I
themselves?
don't. But I, as strongly as I feel that they didn't and they wouldn't, because that doesn't serve their interest in this. Because once this is over, they're going to need to begin reestablishing all of those economic paths, right? They're going to have to start selling oil and gas again. And to do that, to then go blow up your main, destroy your main pipeline doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But stranger things have happened.
But do you think that Putin wants to go back to, let's say, 1985?
I think Putin wants to completely recreate the Soviet Union in its previous form. And I think that he's learned that the best way for him to do that is not only with military power, but with economic power as well. And he needs those pipelines for that economic power. So, now he may already be looking at a very different long game than the rest of us are.
Right.
The rest of us may be looking at the long game going, we got to keep Russia away from using nukes. We've got to get this to settle down and come to some kind of weird peace and get all the soldiers to back off. Putin may be 3 or 4 steps ahead in this chess match, and he may be setting the stage for it to look like he was attacked by NATO or the United States because he's already laying the groundwork for that verbally by saying the United States, we're already at war with the United States. We're already at war with NATO. They made that very clear at the UN last week. So they're saying that now. They're saying it to the United Nations. They're openly saying it. To me, the next step then becomes conflict with NATO and or the United States. So, and I just read another good article that was put out by some people after the stuff we were seeing with China. And the issue, the point was being made, China may see this as their best opportunity to be able to take Taiwan unencumbered.
Right.
So, because they don't believe there's a belief in China that if the United States gets involved with China and Ukraine, we're stretched far too thin and everybody will have to sue for peace.
There's a small problem with China going after Taiwan. They won't do it.
Who won't?
Why not?
China won't do it.
Why not?
Okay, give us your reasons.
They can't afford to.
Okay.
Because they've already seen what happens when Russia, the aggressor, goes after Ukraine. the world has stopped trading with Russia. Okay. That may or may not affect Russia, their bottom line. China can't do that right now.
I think you're taking a very rational approach in your thought process, but how rational is anybody that declares war? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just
I honestly, I think China has gone and pumped the brakes a little bit. I think they were considering it, but they've seen how the world has treated Russia, and they're already on the verge of economic collapse. They can't afford to lose everyone buying all their
But see,
stuff.
I think they can't afford not to, because Taiwan has an economy and China
Well,
doesn't.
and what do we know? 1 second, Kevin. What do we know? And we discovered this during the Great Depression. What's the best way to bring your country out of an economic war? Bad times, right? Conflict.
Yeah. But here's
I finally got Tom.
Here's the issue. Here's the challenge in China, though. 2/3 of China is really uninhabitable. I mean, because of the mountain ranges and all of that, it's not farmable, it's not livable, it's not. So they're really reliant on a global community to bring in things such as wheat and other food staples. They don't have a breadbasket like we do in which to draw from. So
they are heavy.
They're heavy. That's part of the
food importers. Yeah,
that's part of the reasons why the Russians wanted Ukraine. Ukraine is a breadbasket. There's a lot of agricultural benefits. And China doesn't have that. If China gets cut off on a global scale, their people are going to starve. And there's no easy pickings for China to get that. If they invade South Korea, if they invade Japan, if they invade Thailand, none of those are really good.
No, those are all other food importers.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I see where Tom's going. I don't know if I agree. I think I agree with Paul a little bit more, just in the fact that China probably isn't going to be as all rational about it. But I think they have a really big issue if they choose to start a war, because if they get cut off, they're not going to have the food and the resources available.
Both of what you guys are saying, I mean, certainly bears consideration, Lori.
One thing that I'd like to remind everyone is that China has been playing their long game for the last 10, 15 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all those small island nations that needed infrastructure, China's been building it up to be military grade. So they have landing places. They've already threatened Australia both overtly and covertly, and all the nations that have defaulted to China in Africa.
Yep.
They now basically own them.
They own several large ports now in Africa.
Yeah.
Well, China, militarily speaking, China really doesn't have a lot in the way of teeth. And that's because of their one-child policy for so long. They're on a baby bust right now.
Yeah.
So
and they don't have much of a navy either, so they're very geologically locked.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, they certainly couldn't. They couldn't load.
Lori's
all their
giving me a look. What look is that, Lori?
They have 500 Navy ships.
They
right
have
now.
one aircraft carrier.
Yes.
Okay, but I don't know about that.
Yes.
No, but so
I mean,
they could wage a regional naval conflict.
Correct.
But
not U.S., but Australia.
Australia maybe. I mean, again, Australia's got a pretty formidable navy, all things considered. Japan doesn't have much of a military, only their defense force because of their constitution.
No, I'm talking about China going to these countries. Yeah.
I could see China. Wow, you guys just brought up, and I just read a paper on this somewhere. Is that this MI guy thinks that part of China's strategy with regards to Taiwan is creating a two-front conflict by having their navy hit Australia at the same time. Then you're forcing the United States to divide their forces. And if you can hit them hard enough and fast enough, that is Australia, that you could force the world into a
World War III,
into a situation where we have to think of, do we defend Taiwan or do we defend our brothers in Australia? And if we have to choose, who do we? I mean, it's just
a naval conflict.
Well, that's
no problem.
They're who's for who? What do you mean?
It's no problem for the U.S.
Oh, but it is because gas, oil, fuel.
As far as manpower and equipment goes, it's no big deal.
Can I read some comments from the chat really quick? Debbie said in chat, this is in regards to the conversation about evacuation. She said some of the people have nowhere to go where they're supposed to evacuate to. Heidi said Martha's Vineyard.
They're actually, the schools are all closed, and those are the shelters for people who are in
that's what it said.
lesser accommodations.
Mexican word of the day. We wanted to go to Martha's Vineyard. DeSantis sent us there.
Yeah. The thing with evacuation is not to get out of the area. completely is to get to higher ground.
Right.
So, we're not
Safety.
talking about moving them 20, 30, 50, 70 miles away. We want to get 5 miles away from the ocean, get away from the storm surge. That's what the hope is. So, let's see. J. Andrew Kennedy's back. A long time no see, buddy. He says Putin will not fly nuclear weapons. He's posturing. That being said, the USA needs to walk away. My tax dollars do not belong in corrupt Ukraine. And then he commented on the fact that I'm wearing my sweatshirt tonight. Margie says China, and by the way, all the girls in the studio love the fact that I wore this tonight. Margie says China is losing business making the computer chips to America. I don't know about that because I know we have a shortage of vehicles on the market because we're still missing all the chips. So I don't. Maybe they are slowly. I don't know.
Actually, the chips they're made, or the chips they're put into automobiles, those higher grade chips are all U.S. made.
Are they?
Yeah,
I heard, but don't the materials for them come from China?
And Australia.
Yes.
Are the
Zinc
two
and
places.
whatever they're
so
mining.
it's the raw materials.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the chip manufacturing.
All right.
I really wish I had a theme from Chips right now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
How amazing is it that after all these years, you say theme from Chips, and we're all like, bum, 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 bum. We all
That
know.
was our
Ponce and
childhood.
John, man.
Well, and there was only, admittedly, there was one theme that was better than the Chips theme, and that was the Baba Black Sheep theme.
Oh, that one was good.
Yeah.
Did you ever ride your bicycle and pretend you were Ponce or John when you were a kid?
No.
No? Oh, we used to do it all the time.
I only knew 2 words in Spanish: Eric Estrada and taco.
Oh.
Back after this. One more hour to go, Outlaw Radio.
This is State Representative Jesse Young, and you're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
Back live on Facebook.
Paul, did you post an article for us on Facebook or in our chat?
In our chat room, yeah. That's
Wait, what were you just reading? Is that what it was?
maybe I'll pull it up here for you. I don't know why, Jeremy. Why are you sending us pictures of yourself at work?
Hotair.com. Is that
Wait.
the one you're talking about?
Yes.
No, wait, that
okay.
wasn't it.
Yes,
Hold on.
that is it. Next
is
up
it.
on the Supreme Court's agenda: affirmative action
Ooh.
on college campuses.
Yeah.
Well, you just had something up about Biden asking about if a deceased congresswoman was
Yeah, there
in
was
the
a
crowd.
congresswoman that was
yeah.
killed in a car accident here
Yeah,
a
I
couple
have.
weeks ago, and he asked if she was present
Last night.
last night. Yeah,
Well, that's probably. Hold on, that's probably fair, isn't it? I mean, what I mean is, he's not going to know everything. He shouldn't be expected to.
You're
He's
totally
the president
right.
of the United States.
But couldn't we think he could remember
knew.
something?
He knew that.
if
she wasn't
somebody
there
told
'cause-
him,
No, he knew, and he had mentioned her family being there, and that they were going to be signing the bill in front of her
Oh.
family. So
here's
yeah.
what he said: "Where's Jackie? Where is she?" That's an age-old philosophical question. He wasn't asking if she was there. He was trying to figure out if she was in heaven or hell. That's what he was trying to figure out. Anyway.
Jesus, Kevin.
He's
Oh,
trying.
Lord.
He is trying.
Here's what it says. Mr. Biden did not correct himself during the remarks, but the incident quickly went viral on Twitter and other social media platforms. As evidence that Mr. Biden, who is 79, lacks the mental capacity to be president. Wow.
It's almost not even. I can't do it.
Oh, Joe.
All right, so let's
Oh,
talk about this
Joe.
new Supreme Court case. I thought this was going to be really fascinating.
Hold
And
on. Do you want to bring it up now? You want to wait until we get to the top of the hour so we're on AM? I don't want to bring it up early and then pull our AM, the millions and millions of AM listeners into the conversation off the bat.
well, all
You know what I
four
mean?
of them could get lost in the conversation.
Cool.
Well, we can wait till we come
okay.
back.
Let me read this.
Hey, look, Olympia is bigger than you think.
Yeah.
It is. That's true. I agree with you, Dennis. You are
14
correct.
people and 8 pairs of sheep. It says here, after that congresswoman died last month, the White House put out a statement in Mr. Biden's name saying that the president and the first lady were shocked and saddened by her death. He wasn't shocked enough to remember. The statement just hours after the crash said, quote, "My team and I appreciate her partnership as we plan for a historic White House conference on hunger, nutrition, and health this fall that will be marked by her deep care for the needs of rural America." And then he forgot she died. How much longer must we endure, Joe?
2 more years.
You
Like,
don't
I'm
think he'll
counting the
leave early?
hours.
You don't think he'll leave
No,
early?
I don't. I don't think he'll leave early, short of a health issue.
You mean he'll be Clinton?
No. Do you think I'm becoming more and more of the belief that on January 21st of next year,
2023,
he resigns?
Resigns
he steps
willingly,
down. Yes.
or
Well,
is medically
I don't know about
incompetent?
I don't think anybody will declare him medically incompetent. I think he'll be pressured. He'll step down willingly, at least on the surface, not knowing all the background conversation. Remember, if he gets past the halfway point of his presidency,
Right.
that it doesn't count as a first term for Kamala Harris as
Right.
president.
Right.
So if he can just make it to January 21st and then step down, then Kamala Harris would take over as president. She would not have a term against her. She could get 2 more terms, although she has no shot to get elected. But I'd be amazed at this point if he makes it there. The number of his guffaws and how blatantly clear they are awful, and none of them nearly as funny as him falling off.
His gaffes used to be something we could all laugh about. You know, they're going to put you all back in chains. I don't legitimately feel that they're gaffes as much anymore. I think that they are as a direct result of cognitive decline. And so on one hand, it makes me feel bad for him and it makes me feel bad for us. I'm not one of those conservatives who wants my president to do bad. No, I don't. We're seeing in this country right now what happens when a president does bad. And I would rather see the country do good, so good that I wouldn't care if it cost us an election. It is that much more important for me to see our country do good,
especially after the pandemic.
I've always been against these, using people's medical and mental issues against them. We saw them try to do it with Trump and with Hillary, but this is different. This is different.
20 seconds.
But do we feel comfortable having Kamala with all the global poo storms?
We'll have that
going on?
conversation next hour. After we talk about
Kamala
policy.
word salad Harris, because that's all she's good for.
Outlaw
anymore,
Radio,
man.
back after this.
That is a word salad maker.
Yep.
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in a non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green Jell-O all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer weed.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Oh, J. Andrew Kennedy, I missed you. We were talking on the Facebook side during the news break, and we were talking about whether or not, Kamala Harris would take over for Biden, just past the halfway point. We talked about on the show before that if Biden gets past halfway and then steps aside and Kamala takes over, it doesn't count towards her, towards her term. So she could still run for 2 full terms.
It's just this idea that somehow she'd win, that people think that.
Well, and Lori asked, are we comfortable with her taking that role? And we had to pause that because we were coming
You
back.
said yes.
No, I did not say yes. I said we would
Didn't
pause
he
and
say
talk
yes,
about
Lori?
it. J. Andrew Kennedy says it really depends on the desk that Kamala crawls under. She might have a chance.
Wow. I mean, that's very racist and sexist
What?
to suggest that because she's a woman, she needs to spend extra time on her knees.
How's that racist?
And well, that's sexist. That's sexist.
What, are you
and
implying- does
and
that imply that
because
men
she's an
couldn't do the
African
same
American,
thing?
because she's an African American Cuban, I don't know what else she mixed with.
Indonesian?
Yeah. Anyway, all of that stuff
Presbyterian?
mixed together, right? By definition,
Polak.
it's racism, because you can't say anything critical of a woman of color that spends so much time on her knees.
Would
You're
you be-
not allowed to do that.
Would you be more likely to vote for her if she was Polish?
No, her race would absolutely never mean
I
anything.
was just asking.
Ooh, have you met some Polish women?
They got big noses, big
meaty.
chins.
They're meaty.
They're mean.
Margie says, was Trump really going to sell America out to Russia? Margie, I'd ask you to present some evidence.
There's never been one single shred of evidence that Trump ever colluded with Russia.
Yeah. And then Margie says, I like Kamala. Kamala is an attorney. You won't see her coming.
No, but she'll have a front seat view of anybody else who is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let it sink in.
Gonna leave that alone, man. Gonna leave it alone. Gonna leave it alone. No, I'm not. If you're
How is this different than
If you're-
Monica Lewinsky?
We're not on Atlanta, so I can say this. If you're bent over the table, you can't see anything coming. Okay, so just let that.
That's not what she's
That's
known
not
for.
what she was known for.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was known for
Oral
under the desk.
fellatio.
Yeah.
She was known for having an affair with her boss, which I assume included getting.
No. It
Was just oral.
Mm.
Wow.
That's how she got promoted.
Well,
In San Francisco to the prosecuting attorney's office. That started her meteoric rise.
Meteoric. Sorry.
Well, you know,
he said meat.
There were plenty of people coming for their shot there. So
we're gonna have one show where all I do is play butthead throughout the entire night, and every time anybody says anything even halfway sexual or bad, I'm just gonna say, "Oh, he said," and then okay. Go ahead, Paul. You had an article you wanted.
Hold on. I'm just gonna before we do that, let us know the night, a couple days before you're gonna do that. And what we'll do is, Lori and I will break up the list of your little black book, and we'll get all these women that you've dated over the years, and we'll get them to come in. That way, you can do it with all of them around.
Well, good luck because we were gonna have a roast of
uncomfortable.
K-Dog, and you couldn't book one guest.
No, because every single one of them actually. Yeah. I mean, do you really want me to spill the beans about that? I can, but I'm thinking it would be very uncomfortable for some people in this room, not named
anyway,
Paul and not named Tom.
J. Andrew Kennedy says, racist.
Lord.
Facts following the past. If history recreates itself, she's getting that vote. Paul was being sarcastic about the racist thing. It was a play on words. And Margie said, okay, who would be a good presidential candidate?
DeSantis.
Wow.
I would love DeSantis. I hope that Trump finds it within himself to put his ego aside and go, you know what? I am too divisive for a country that is too divided.
And he's too old.
Yeah, and he is. Yes, he is too old, I think, in my opinion. But he still seems sharp as a tack versus Biden, who clearly was already in cognitive decline, hence his 10 a.m. I'm done every morning at 10 a.m. running for president, right? But I there are some very, very good candidates out there.
I'd like to see another Jorgensen Cohen ticket.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No,
from the Libertarian Party, it wouldn't. No, because they've developed some name recognition.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to see another. That I mean,
but they're not running, are they?
They haven't decided.
Well, the Libertarians
okay.
haven't had their.
Oh, okay.
That'll be next year, a year away, and it's look, Nikki Haley, phenomenal candidate. Yeah, you can do that, but I like her. I think she's a great candidate.
What else has she done besides
she's governor?
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
I don't know that about
Yeah,
her.
she
I
was
like
a governor.
Kristi Noem.
Kristi Noem?
She
Yeah.
did her own tune for her state,
Yep.
depending on what they needed
Yep.
during the pandemic.
And
so that speaks a lot to
And
me.
this is, you guys might say that this is sexist, and maybe it is, but I think it's harder for a woman to run for president
Yep.
for one really stupid, but I think not less any true reason. Charisma is exuded and presented differently by women than it is by men.
Nope, I agree.
And we have not had a female candidate with charisma, I feel, run for president yet. We've come close, but Elizabeth Warren, no, there's no charisma there. Hillary Clinton, people wanted to barf. We look at what do we call Kamala? We call her word salad Harris. And there are some women that have displayed some really good charisma on stage in politics.
Kristi Noem.
Tulsi.
Kristi Noem really has.
Yep.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley almost has hers seems to me to come from a different place. For me, like Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard, their charisma is from a more like a tough place, like a physically tough place, versus the former American ambassador to the United Nations in Nikki Haley. She's more of an intellectual heavyweight, I feel like, when I listen to her talk. But again, that comes across, that's charismatic, I think. Kamala Harris, I don't see how she runs a legitimate, serious campaign to be president with what everybody knows about her spending time on her knees to move up. It's just the kind of thing that she never should have allowed to get out. She never should have done it, right? Men do not sleep their way to the top. Why not? Well, because we're limited by our options.
Can I give you the top 10 list? This is per the Washington Post.
Wait. Which side?
Top 10 a list
Or
of what?
all?
What?
Which side?
What do you mean, which side?
Never mind.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about candidates.
Well, I am, but
Okay.
but the Democrats have one. Nobody is really going to challenge Biden. Nobody of really any value.
You've already got people talking about it.
They're
though.
not going to. And now, what will happen is if
Who to
Biden
judge?
if Biden steps down or does not run, then I think you open up the primary again because Kamala Harris is a weak candidate. But let me give you the top 10 list of candidates according to the Washington Post.
Please do not say Mike Pence.
Is this both sides of the aisle?
No,
or-
these are just the Republicans.
Oh, okay.
Here's the ones that didn't make the risk: Rubio, Hawley, Sass, Cotton, Sununu, Asa Hutchinson, Kristi Noem, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, Greg Abbott from Texas, and Chris Christie. So here's the 10 that did. Number 10, Donald Trump Jr.
No, God, no.
Here's what it says.
He
This
reminds
applies
me of a punk.
only to a scenario in which his father doesn't run, but that's a scenario in which some polls show him running as high as second, with the caveat that we don't think he did a lot of polling. He'd clearly have a base to work with, but capitalizing on that is another matter, and it's not about lobbing bombs on the sidelines, which is his true talent. Mike Pompeo, number 9.
Not bad, but I don't think he has enough experience in the political world.
Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, number 8.
Rick Scott a middle of the road player to me. I mean, he's kind of he is a political heavyweight.
He's African American, right?
No,
he's not. Okay.
No. You're thinking Tim Scott.
Oh, Tim Scott. Yeah. Okay. Nikki Haley, number 7. Okay. Ted Cruz, number 6. That ship sailed.
Yeah.
The Ted Cruz for president bandwagon has officially left, and it is somewhere south of Tijuana.
Yeah, especially after the freeze in Texas.
In fact, I think Ted Cruz goes below every single other name we've talked about on my list. Glenn Youngkin. He's the governor of Virginia.
I don't know. What number is he?
Number 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tim Scott, number 4. There you go. There's
Okay,
Tim Scott.
yeah.
I'd like him to be higher.
Mhm.
I like Tim Scott.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Mike Pence.
What?
Well, again, listen, he was the vice president.
He lost half the base. There's no
yeah,
way.
but he was the vice president. I think that automatically gives him some skin. in the
Gives him
game.
some cred.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's dead on arrival.
Yeah, he is.
You think so?
Absolutely, without a
so
doubt.
Far right.
Do you think more Republicans are more? Do you think more Republicans would back him or back Trump?
They more would back Trump.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Because polling
Lean
data
tweets.
and polling data shows that 70% of Republicans think that there were issues in the election. They're not saying it was stolen or anything, but they're saying 70% felt there was an issue. And that's the thing that people, right or wrong, were looking towards Pence to do, to throw it back to the states to have it investigated. And when he didn't do that, it pissed a lot of people off. Even though I think Pence was right in how he handled it, it still pissed, and how he handled it. Just the whole way it was all handled was just,
Right.
I mean, go blow smoke up somebody else's backside. It was horrible from all of them.
Yeah. But I also think that Mike Pence's base outside of Trump is the far right evangelical.
Yes, the evangelicals,
And
you're right.
With all of the people who have left the Democratic Party to come over to the GOP, they're going to be your moderates. They
Right.
are not going down that trail.
That's a perfect description.
So, yeah, it's got to be a candidate that can play to the whole base.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. Sorry.
Yeah. No. And then number 2 is Trump. Number 1 is DeSantis. So they flip flop since the last time they ranked this back in June.
Well, there's rumors that Trump and DeSantis have some degree of a rivalry going.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me because Trump he's a little man.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that because he's had great ideas and he did good things as president, but he's he has such a thin skin.
Yes.
It's
his ego,
Ego.
gets in his way.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just, if he ends up winning, I'll vote for him. But I won't vote for him in the primaries, and I won't support his candidacy unless he's running on the final ticket.
But can you accept, though, that if he announces he's running, you're not going to have a choice as a Republican? Because guys like DeSantis are not going to run against him.
Are you sure? I think DeSantis still.
Everything I've heard from backdoor people. Not to be confused with our conversation about Kamala Harris.
Hold on.
Everything I've
Hold
heard
on.
about. Everything I've heard
How
about.
many backdoor dudes you've been hanging
I
out
meant
with?
backroom.
Whoa.
Oh.
Everything that I've heard from behind the scenes.
Pete Buttigieg.
Everything I've heard, Bukaki. Everything I've heard from behind the scenes is that Pence has made it clear he will not run if Trump runs. He does not want to fracture the. No. DeSantis.
Oh.
No, Pence will run no matter what.
Okay, you said Pence.
No, I meant DeSantis.
Okay.
Pence will run no matter what.
But DeSantis takes hits, like when he's giving his press conferences in the state of
He
Florida.
hits back in the middle of it, man. He don't wait either.
Yeah, and he goes after Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not by name, but
And I will say this, something that I don't know if you guys have thought about or not, but I think that there's a 50-50 chance Trump doesn't win for one very good reason.
January 6th.
He don't want to be a loser again.
Yep.
I think he's scared to death if he ran and he might lose. And that to him, that would he'd rather look like he's on top of the world.
Who would he lose to, though? If he knows,
Even an election,
if
another presidential
if he
election.
knows DeSantis isn't going to run against him, then he has a clean path to the nomination. And I've said this before, a rock could beat Biden for re-election right now. The economy is in shambles. Gas prices are through the roof. Inflation is coming, and a global recession is right around the corner.
But it's climate change, don't you know?
No, nobody believes that. There's a reason why.
Are you serious?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
You argued online with me on Facebook for years about how I was a climate change denier because I was always posting stuff. Really? And now you're all of a sudden...
No, what I mean is nobody believes the issues we're facing right now are due to climate change. I'm not saying there's not climate change. I'm saying nobody thinks the issue with inflation and all that is because of climate change. And
don't you work in Seattle?
Here's why I know this. Hold on. The 300,000 people in Seattle that are idiots, yeah, but they're a minority. Here's why I know this is not true.
Okay.
Have you looked at the latest state Senate numbers for the race between Patty Murray and Tiffany Smiley?
Oh, yeah.
No, what are you
I
saying?
think it's funny.
Tiffany Smiley is within the margin of error.
Yes.
Still? Because we talked about this a week and a half or so ago.
She is a Republican in a Democrat state, and she is within the margin of error. Do I expect her to win? Obviously not.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, no, hold on. It's not a matter of hope, right? And I have to explain this to the people in chat because they're like, you're such a liberal. No, I'm not saying who I do or don't want. I'm saying logistically, with the amount of money that the Democrats have and the hold the Democrats have, I expect Patty Murray will win re-election. But if Tiffany Smiley is within shooting distance, that in and of itself tells me that the mystique is wearing off.
Yeah.
That everything the Democrats have done to seize control, both nationally and locally in the state, is starting to wear on people, and people are beginning to see that they've gone too far and it doesn't work. Well, that is as much as I can say to prove that nobody is going to blindly believe that climate change and Russia are the reasons for the problems we face, because they're not. Because these problems were already here before the Russians invaded Ukraine. His name is Joe Biden, and he's your president. And I voted for him, so I'm partially responsible.
But I think that the other part of it is the Democrats have brought out the fear-mongering early. It started back in August for Patty Murray, at least on those. So they're scared. They're really, really scared. And I would predict that probably in the next few weeks, there will be commercials or ads somewhere talking about maybe to the Democrats. And if it comes to my house, I'll let you know, because I'm not, but certain people are. I would assume there'd be flyers. Hey, got to do your duty. Make sure you vote for Patty. We need to keep that, stature in the Senate. She's the head of this committee and that committee and all that. So I would assume that's coming out next. But
we do have a history in Washington State of high-ranking congressmen and women losing.
Yeah, we do.
You ready for this? Here's the latest poll. This is from 2 days ago. Okay. Now, again, polls are what polls are, right? Mm-hmm. But here's what you got. Patty Murray leads in the voting, 48.7% to 46.5% for Smiley, with 4.8% undecided. If you're undecided about Patty Murray today, what in the name of God could happen in the next 6 weeks that would make you change your mind and be decided for Patty Murray?
She could get pregnant and have a baby or something.
I think
and then
she's
everybody
past
would-
menopause. I think she's-
Patty
No,
Murray's going to
no.
text you and say, hey, we got to continue the fight for abortion rights and donate.
Do you follow her Twitter?
No, I
Her
don't.
her Twitter feed is so ridiculously party.
Mhm.
It's like, I mean, I don't need to go into all of it, but I'm consistently, because you guys notice, see, like, I think I'm the only person here that uses his Twitter, even though Boss Baby and the CEO made us all set them up and use them, and I keep
I
using
cannot.
mine all the time, and I don't want to suggest
Good
that,
for
that
you,
other
Paul.
people aren't. Maybe they should be, but they aren't, and they should be. And so, but I've been doing it. I've taken up the mantle for all of us here on Outlaw Radio, and so
Thank
every
you, Paul.
chance I get, I respond to every one of her tweets. Her and that dude from All in the Family,
Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, I'm
yes.
constantly telling him where the bear poops in the woods. That guy's such a blowhard. He can't go 2 days without mentioning Donald Trump, prison, and save our democracy. Or, we're not a real democracy if Trump ain't in prison. Oh, that's a brilliant statement there, Popeye. It just stupid. Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that she has a chance. Tiffany Smiley really has a chance.
I think she has a chance.
But even if she doesn't win, I think the gauntlet has already been thrown down.
Mhm.
That Patty Murray, 30 years in that office, who transformed from somebody I really liked in the beginning.
Yeah, I did too.
You know, she was a soccer mom in tennis shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And now she's become Hillary Clinton 2.0 in her designer suit and her crappy haircut.
Right?
You know, and there's no connection to the people she represents, and it's really smarmy. And I put on my Facebook page,
You mean elitist?
smarmy.
Exactly.
I put on my Facebook page, can one person say they support Patty Murray and I plan to vote for her? And nobody said that they would. Nobody.
Ooh.
Every other post I make gets somebody pissed off at me. But no, I could not find one Patty Murray supporter. And I talk to people all the time that support people here, support people there. I knew a lot of people that were going to vote for Biden no matter what because they hated Trump. I knew people that were going to vote for Trump no matter what because they love Trump or they hated Biden or whatever. I can usually find people who believe in somebody. I can't find one person who's going to vote for Patty Murray. I can even find people who vote for Michelle Caldier. But I can't find one person that'll vote for Patty Murray. That is amazing to me.
Well,
That's it.
she's never here.
That's amazing.
She's never here.
But I'm amazed.
She's
people
not
would vote
here
for her.
where her voters are.
No, well, because
Checking
she's
in with us.
She's an awful human being.
I mean, we get emails.
She's an awful human being.
So it's interesting. I'm following the Polish foreign minister who now is there, but he's moved from that position. He's now the EU Parliament member representing Poland. And he posted a picture of the Nord Stream pipeline underwater. Basically, it's destroyed and everything, with a caption, "Thank you, USA."
Oh, that was the one I saw. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
His name is Radek Sikorsky. Yep. And he posted the picture of the pipeline.
Got the blue check mark and everything, so it's verified. Yeah.
And he says, "Thank you, USA."
I wonder what that means.
Well, and that's why I was trying to figure out what did he mean by that. He said there's no shortage of pipeline capacity for taking gas from Russia to Western Europe, including Germany. Nord Stream's only logic was for Putin to be able to blackmail or wage war on Eastern Europe with impunity. All Ukrainian and Baltic Sea states have opposed Nord Stream's construction for 20 years. Now 20 billion of scrap metal lies at the bottom of the sea, another cost to Russia for its criminal decision to invade Ukraine. Someone, MFA Russia, whatever that is, did a special maintenance operation. Get the joke there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even he sounds like they believe it was the Russians that had something to do with it.
Well, but then why post "Thank you, USA"? I don't know what the
Maybe it's because our pressure on them caused the and shutting down the pipelines and all that.
Actually,
caused it to happen. I don't know.
think about what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, listening to Sergei Lavrov and how they're trying to set stuff up. If you're Russia, it suddenly becomes pretty convenient to say the United States destroyed the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yep. Act of war.
Then now the United States would be at war through no fault of their own. It was a setup.
Look how we restrained ourselves,
Oh.
says Putin.
Right.
Outlaw Radio.
Look at all these things.
One more break. We'll come back. Final half hour of the show's around the corner. Stay tuned.
This is Spike Cohen, the reigning and defending Libertarian vice presidential candidate, and you're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
Back.
Oh, we're back on Facebook. Hey, when we come back out of Facebook, Paul has a topic we didn't get to start the hour.
I
So
do?
I want to make the one you were going to talk about, the one that you.
Oh,
Yeah.
the call, the yeah.
Yeah.
You guys keep talking for a minute. I'll pull that back up. I'm just doing a little bit of reading here to see what people in Europe are talking about and saying about the Nord Stream pipeline, and the conversation's interesting.
Oh, well, I'll say hi to my buddy Chris, who just checked into a chat.
Hi, Chris.
So, anyway,
There we go. Okay. Well, hi, Chris.
No, back to. So, are you looking for pipeline information?
Well, what I wanted to look up here, and I kind of lost Kevin there in the conversation. I think what I was looking up here was to see what people in Northern Europe and in that area were saying with regards to the destruction of the pipeline.
Oh, okay.
Who are they saying is responsible? What would people's motivations and stuff be?
Okay, because
and
that tidbit of news I have completely missed, so I'm just sort of taking it all in as the conversation
Sure.
unfolds.
Well, one of these people points out, he says, if the attack on Nord Stream 2 was indeed done by Russia, this is the closest Russia could come to attack something that sort of also belongs to a NATO state without actually attacking it and thus starting a war. So I think what the people there are saying is they could see Russia doing this just to say, look, we were attacked by NATO. Because then, right, last week they just called up 300,000 reservists and people were fleeing the country at a massive rate. People did not want to be called up for his war with Ukraine, right? Well, now if he can, all of a sudden, now the pipeline's been destroyed and he can come back and say, they attacked us.
I need you.
Yes, exactly. And so, I mean, you don't have to be a genius to see the small moves that can be made here in order to create a situation where the Russian people are all of a sudden all for it.
I think it'd be hard to spin that we were responsible for that, though, given the location.
Nobody
in the
was
world.
there.
But but again, you have to look at a map of where this happened.
Yes,
we're not talking about open ocean. We're talking about a very narrow strait in between Denmark and Sweden. Right. I mean, it's like.
And
it's narrow. It's straight. It's a really narrow spot, and there are Russian warships that were there before. Unless they can somehow show evidence that that U.S. warships were in the area, this is deep enough water. You can't send a diver down to plant a bomb.
Well,
this is, you know what I mean. This is deep water.
But the Russian people don't know that. And listen, here's this is what just got put out. Russian propaganda, this is 5 minutes ago, keeps presenting a video of President Biden saying that Nord Stream 2 would be stopped if Russia attacked Ukraine. He didn't mean America was going to blow it up. Biden meant that Germany and NATO countries would want to make sure it never
Coming
opened.
back.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
Outlaw Radio. I was just enjoying the jam, Dennis. Nice job.
Thanks.
I like this. Thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate it. Paul, K-Dog, Black Tom, the CEO, Boss Baby, Dennis. Isaac is here as well. I didn't give Isaac good props earlier, but Isaac is here. Hello, Isaac.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi.
Very good.
Isaac, someday you're going to learn you can't wave on radio.
That's right. People can't see you. By the way, we'd like to congratulate Joey Bosa of the Los Angeles Chargers, who's now on the injured reserve list.
Have you looked at the list of people who the Chargers have injured right now?
I know.
It is a long, distinguished list.
Don't complain. Have you seen our team?
Including your left tackle, which is probably even more alarming to lose than Bosa because that's the guy that's protecting
Herbert's blind side.
Your ducked up quarterback.
Oh,
yeah, I can say ducked up because he went to Oregon. Get it done.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, Paul had
He's
something.
still better than your quarterback. I would like to point out though that Geno Smith
you might be
is rated in the top 10. Russell Wilson is not.
What is he rated in the top 10 for?
As far as QBR.
Oh, hold on. That's not true.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Russell Wilson's number 26 and Geno Smith is number 10.
Let me see. Hold on. Geno Smith is number 10. Wow. He's even ahead of your quarterback, Dennis.
He's injured.
Yeah, where do they put on that
Had a bad game.
stupid decisions as quarterback, though? Because he'd be up at the top for that one. Dude, he just doesn't play well under pressure. I like him, but he just, when it comes to...
that last play against Falcons was like, oh, why did you throw that?
Versus Russ, who was more smooth and calm and cool under pressure. Geno just, can't do it. So here is...
Yeah, so Russ would have looked so much better throwing that interception then.
Right? So I'm just going to play this little clip. This is the clip that Russia keeps playing people. And this is according to these people said, this is what's being played throughout Russia when they're talking about the destruction of the pipeline.
Germany, if Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
But that's what they're I mean, I'm not sure why
you
you thought that was funny, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on it.
Does anybody listen to Joe Biden talk and think that anything he says is credible? A
bunch of Russians.
Pancakes.
Listen, he's the leader of the United States.
I know, I get it.
And in Russia, that's how he's perceived and seen.
No, I know. When Obama talked, you felt like there was some authority behind his voice.
Well,
when Trump talked, you felt like there was authority behind his voice.
Bigly.
When George Bush talked, you thought there was some authority behind his voice.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
or Dick Cheney's hand in his butt, but it's moving his mouth like a puppet. But Biden is just.
You forgot Bill.
I didn't forget Bill. There's just nothing. Every time I hear Biden talk now, I laugh.
Bill has a hand pump.
Not because of anything anything specifically he's saying, but there's just nothing coming out of Biden's mouth that inspires me to feel like he's a leader of any kind. Well, Kevin, it's gotten worse too since he's gotten in office.
So I appreciate what you're saying. I truly do, Kevin. But I think that we need to look at this outside of our bubble of, oh my God, this guy sucks, right? Because in Russia, he's the boogeyman. He's the big bad guy. He's the leader of, of the United States, and they are clearly just even like I hadn't researched the Nord Stream pipeline hit at all. I had just heard that there had been some stuff that had happened to it. But when you see how this is being portrayed in Russia,
right,
and that there were Russian ships there, I think it seems to make complete sense. Again, they're playing the long game, and they've been trying for a long time, many people think, to draw NATO into this conflict and do it in a way that it galvanizes the Russian people. Well, if they get to go out now and say the United States attacked Nord Stream 2, listen, this is what their president said. I mean, I wish we lived in a world where we could all poo-poo that, but it makes sense.
Well,
Admit it, it makes sense.
After hearing that,
yeah,
I'll say yes, but like from a geopolitical standpoint, it makes no sense at all to blow your own money-making stuff up.
I agree.
But after seeing that, all I could do is go,
But you're laying the groundwork to attack NATO. I mean, but do you really think if Putin were to pull the trigger and start attacking NATO countries or forces, do you really think he's going for a conventional war? Or do you think he's going nuclear?
That's a great question.
He can't go a conventional war.
And win.
No.
He's shown effectively that his troops suck.
They've had their ass kicked by the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have luck in Poland because they're still on horseback, but everybody else in Western Europe.
Did you find that funny?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, found that
everybody
funny,
else,
did
in,
you?
everybody else in Western Europe, he wouldn't. I don't even think the U.S. would have to do much.
Didn't your
we
ancestors go to
would.
war in hand dug out canoes?
I don't even think the U.S. would have to get involved. We would, but I don't think we have to. I think NATO and their forces would be enough to defeat Russia.
You think
Just
so?
off of what we've seen with Ukraine.
I think
yeah,
that's a great point. We would. You're right, but you're
on
right.
a conventional. That's on a conventional war. What if Putin pulls the trigger?
Well, if Putin were to let off any kind of a nuke, then all bets are off.
Yeah, I don't think NATO has anything, do they?
Well, they have
Oh,
ours.
NATO has ours.
Yeah,
we
and,
can't
and Britain and
retaliate
Germany and
with
France
nukes.
also are nuclear capable countries too.
Yeah, we can't retaliate with nukes.
We would.
But do you? That's the thing. What I
You
mean,
have to.
That's an effed up question, man.
I know.
Like,
actually, you don't.
From a purely humanistic standpoint, I agree with you. I'm right there with you. But is our government going to do that?
God, I hope so.
Oh,
You
no.
can't- I mean,
hold on.
you go
Logistically,
in-
you can't. Listen. Logistically,
Wait,
you can't.
Kevin said, listen.
You can't not use a nuke in response. Because if
You
Russia
can't
were
not?
Yeah. If Russia were to
saying you must.
You
Double
must.
negatives, so
If
positive.
Yeah, thank you. Double negatives. If Russia used a nuke and
like
we
that.
did not respond with a nuke of our own, what does that tell Russia? Oh man, I can do it again. It doesn't matter. We're not even going to be put into check. I don't even need to worry about the repercussions from Europe and the Americans
Figure out what
because they're not
Japan
going to
felt
do
like
it
real quick.
I mean, you're going to have to hit a like target with a like-sized nuclear device to obtain like-sized results to check Russia.
And that is the catch, and that is American doctrine.
The thing is that we don't have small yield nukes like
We do.
they do.
Yes.
Not nearly the array that they have.
I don't know the answer to. I just know that we have them. Like we can put smaller nukes on artillery pieces and small rockets. We can put them on cruise missiles and stuff like that.
I can eat atomic chili and clean out a room, but go ahead.
I don't know to the extent. Russia has backpacks that fit in a nuke. I mean,
Yes.
nukes that fit in backpacks.
Right.
So
our stuff is a little bit more girthy in the yield department.
Mm-hmm.
well, sort of. Yes, you're correct. But Russia has the largest nukes in the world as
Right.
far as kiloton explosive power. They have the Tsar Bomba, man. That thing is like 100 times more powerful than Hiroshima. It's
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
one of those would take out all of Puget Sound. And
Mhm.
and what it didn't evaporate in one single blast, the entire Puget Sound region would be irradiated for
Right.
as long as it matters to us.
So, back to Russia. What do we think about Edward Snowden and his family getting citizenship?
Don't care.
God bless that punk. I mean,
But from a strategic point of view, he was in the military. He was,
Mhm.
an IT contractor for years and years.
Mhm.
Does he know what we have, what we're capable of? Is he selling that to the Russians? Is
So-
that why they took him in?
the easiest answer I could give for that is our nuclear capabilities. There's very few secrets that still surround them.
Mhm.
Like for a long time here, just in Puget Sound, you guys might remember this. Like they denied the fact that there were even nukes
Right. Mhm.
out at Bangor,
Yep.
right? And everybody who lived here, whose
Knew.
parents worked there, were like, "Yeah,
Knew.
the nukes are right there."
Mhm.
So it was no secret. We got lots of prostitutes in Bremerton, and they talk. And what? I'm not hating on you. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out. My bad. My bad. I won't bring that up again. Apologies." Anyway, so I just think the whole thing, to be honest with you guys, it scares the crap out of me. Right before I ETS'd, I went to NBC school, and it was something I was really fast. That's nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons school.
Mhm.
And we talked. I mean, a school. It was more like a class that we took at our own unit in Bremerton. But so one of the things we were talking about was, how likely something like that would be. Now, militarily, we're the number 2 military target in the United States for Russia.
Yep.
Number 2.
Yep.
Because we have Bangor, Keyport, Bremerton, Everett, and Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Yep.
Kitsap County is the number 2 nuclear power in the world.
Yes, it is. We have the second largest stash of nuclear weapons in the whole world here.
Yeah.
What's the first? Is it DC?
Russia. So Russia is number 1. Kitsap is number 2.
Oh, no.
The
For
United
target,
States.
Target
Oh.
in the U.S.
it's the number. Well, I mean, I
But
suppose
yes,
that's a
I
matter of
understand
conjecture,
Russia, yeah.
but
Probably the White House or
well,
no,
in the United States on the West Coast, so we have the Puget Sound is number
Mhm.
2. Number 1 is San Diego.
Oh,
So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
you know, but you're talking to Puget Sound region. You're talking there's going to be multiple strikes here.
Right.
Um,
Or one big one.
yeah, God help us. And
Yeah.
I you know, and I mean, I take precautionary measures. I thank God that I live far enough out of town,
Mhm.
that at least if everything hits their aimed targets, I might be safe. But you know, who knows that living after something like that would be worth it anyway.
Yeah.
But as a parent, you know, you have
Mhm.
young kids, and so you're going to naturally do everything you can to take care of them. The whole thing scares the hell out of me because I don't think Putin is stable.
No.
His invasion of Ukraine wasn't a rational thing to do. The way that they've conducted themselves in this war has been incredibly irrational. We're accusing them of committing war crimes, which is just backing him further and further into a corner. He's not going to surrender, and he's not going to give up. He's not going to take a loss. So, short of the Russian people themselves removing him from power, I don't see how this stops without either Ukraine losing and surrendering,
Mhm.
or him getting to the point where he basically says, I'm annexing this. This is all I ever wanted. We're done. Right. Without Putin calling it off, or I don't see how this ends pleasantly.
But do we know how his health is? Because
We've heard rumors about him having health issues. Yeah.
Well, he has cancer and he's really, really frail. So
I've heard those rumors. I've not been able to, maybe you go down those rabbit holes more than I do.
Mhm.
So you may have been able to vet and source that and like confirm it.
Mhm.
I tried briefly and wasn't able to find any source material that I could substantively point to,
No,
but that was a few weeks ago too.
I was going to bring that up while you guys were discussing these different options. I was going to say, well, you know, how does Putin's health factor into this?
It's a great question. In my opinion, his health factors into it because it's been a life. He hasn't made a secret of the fact that he would like to reunite the entire former
Right.
Soviet Union. He wants to bring it back to its glory and its greatness. His cabinet was saying early on in this conflict, we need to remember our Viking roots and we need to embrace them and we need to live that lifestyle again. A lot of people don't realize that the Rus Vikings
Mhm.
headed that direction and they founded Moscow. And so, you know, there's a lot of that history. And if you've watched Vikings, I mean, there you go. You would like to think people have matured past that, but apparently that's not so much the case. But what difference does it make? I mean, I was reading that if he detonated a nuke at the mouth of the Mississippi River, the damage that it would do to this country, because you'd no longer be able to use the Mississippi River to have material go up and down the river and out to sea through the
Yep,
Gulf of
that's
Mexico
true.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Things like that none of us think about, that are so easy to cripple us as a
Mhm.
nation.
Do you know the lecturer Peter Zihan?
I know Zohan.
Ziehan, I think.
Okay.
I'll
Zohan was an Adam Sandler character. He was
Yeah.
a shoemaker.
No, I didn't see that movie.
It's okay. Kevin
well-
hasn't seen any of them either.
None of them.
Well, anyway, this guy is a geopolitical analyst.
Okay.
And I'll send you some of his lectures.
Perfect.
They're I'll put them in the Outlaw chat if you guys want. They look at all of this stuff on a like great big macro level and talk about, you know, some of the stuff I was mentioning, how you know, China's on a baby bust right now.
Okay.
And he gets into the economic factors of what that means. You know,
When you
you're-
say baby bust, can you explain to me what you mean by that? Like they're not having children being born, or they've got too
Right.
many, or what?
No, so they've quit the one child policy. China is now looking at the economic impact of having gone 25 years with restricting how many children you can have.
And how most of them are now boys. And
Right. Well, yeah, they've got a gender imbalance, which is creating another problem. But the fact that now, you know, it takes 25 years to grow a 25-year-old.
Right.
Well, who consumes the most in your economy on a big picture? 25-year-olds. They're just getting started, right? So they have to borrow money to buy a house and to have kids and to buy a car and to go to college and. They drive your economy. And then when you hit your middle years, your 40 somethings, they're still working, but the kids have grown, they're gone. Those people are establishing a nest egg to go into retirement, right?
Okay.
And so they're investing in things. They're investing in stocks and bonds and such, and they're driving a different part of the economy. But then as they age out, they go into retirement and they pull that money out. Well, if you don't have fresh young people coming in to replace your consumers,
Becomes a big Ponzi
yeah,
scheme.
right.
Yeah.
You so your population has to meet that economic flow.
So would it suit China to be involved in a conflict that would kill off a lot of young men?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Not from a big picture. There's actually only 2 countries in the world that are doing okay as far as developed or developing nations.
Okay.
The United States is going to be fine because our millennials, right? Our Gen Xers, the folks in this.
I mean, the
this
Gen
room,
Xers are running everything
we're-
now anyway.
No, we're not.
It
We're
was a
too-
joke, people. Oh my
We
God.
need to be.
No,
We
I
need
wish
to
we
be.
were.
Yeah.
I wish we, but we're too small.
Yeah.
We're too small.
We're overshadowed by the
Really?
boomers.
You guys think the Gen X generation is a small generation?
No,
Yeah,
it's
it
because
is.
we're the kids of the baby boomers.
Yeah, no, we're
No,
not.
we're
The
not.
millennials are the kids
The
of the baby
millennials
boomers.
are kids of the baby boomers.
We're just
Well,
a
my
weird.
parents were baby boomers.
Yeah,
and
my parents
I'm a
were
Gen
baby-
Xer.
I know, but we're a weird little anomaly.
Stop that! You were deflating my ego, Tom.
I'm sorry. No, we're just special. We're like gold.
But yeah,
We're
that's
rare.
been something they've been worried about for years and years. Is that there were so many baby boomers, and now they're retiring. And
Yeah,
I'm talking right in the microphone. It's not picking up.
Sorry.
That's
But
all right.
thankfully, the millennials are going to come along and save us in the United States.
Are they?
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, we're all.
We
we're
might
all
be
good
waiting a
hands.
long time.
Yeah.
I know, but from the big picture, they're going to save the U.S. The only other country that's doing well as far as not having had a baby bust is Mexico.
I thought you were going to say India.
No, India's on a baby bust right now too.
Well, and Mexico. I mean, think about it. 1 out of every 3 citizens there is coming here. So.
Yeah.
No, that's actually
Tom's sense of humor.
I know, but it's all
I
this
swear
stuff
to
I've been
God.
listening to. I'm sorry. No, actually, it's Guatemalans that are coming here now. The Mexico immigration problem's been pretty stabilized.
Yeah?
I'll send you some of this stuff. It's actually really interesting.
Because that and one of the some of the numbers, maybe that's a topic we'll touch on Sunday night on the show too, is the border numbers, and why it truly is so bad. And it always interests me that you hear people politicize it on the left and the right, but the left, in their politicization of illegal immigration, they talk about how inhumane it is for these governors on border states to be shipping illegals to different parts of the country.
It is.
And yet they don't seem at all cared about the 800 people a month that die trying to cross the border.
Or
It's
what
like,
about Biden? Biden's shipping people too.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, he absolutely was.
Lori's
but
looking
there's
at me.
there's no defense to that.
There's
Right?
not.
They
No,
can't
I'm
say
not.
Republicans are doing this. It's this and it's that. And then, well, we're not. Are we doing it too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here's what DeSantis did. They rounded up a whole bunch of illegals.
Define rounded them up. Were they using guys on horseback with
No,
whips?
but they found a whole bunch of illegals.
There were 50.
Detained them, flew them to Martha's Vineyard,
Yeah, there were 50.
dropped them off in a residential neighborhood where all the rich people are at, and then left. And then they were eventually rounded up by the local authorities and taken to detention at a local military base.
It was a crap stunt.
It was awful. It's not like stuff like this is why I don't think I can get behind DeSantis. I mean, if it's DeSantis against Biden, DeSantis all day. But this is not. It's not who we are.
DeSantis wasn't the only one that did it.
No, but
Abbott
listen,
did it too.
Abbott did it too, but Abbott's
Yeah.
not a candidate in 2024.
Neither is
governor.
DeSantis.
DeSantis will be if Trump doesn't run.
Yeah.
And
But
look,
what exactly is
everybody's pinning. What's my
Yeah,
issue?
Yes.
Okay.
I want you to be able to speak your piece.
My issue is we're treating people like fodder. We're treating real live human beings like fodder.
Like cattle?
Yeah,
Chattel?
like political one-upsmanship is all that matters. Hey, let's just take them and dump them somewhere and then leave them, and then hope that the local authorities round them up before they break into somebody's house, or that's not who we are as a nation, man. It's
I
just
hate
it's
that line.
disgusting.
Okay.
It's gross.
That's fair.
It's
I understand
gross.
what you're saying.
It's just gross.
It's just, it always cracks me up. People, that's not who we are. Oh, okay, well then tell me who we are. It.
And by the way,
yeah.
the other issue I have with it is, and this is going to piss some people off, I'm even more pissed off about it because DeSantis claims he's a Christian. I'd expect a liberal to pull something like that, a liberal with no God, with no higher calling, with no responsibility to be to give love to those that are down and out, or homeless or in need or whatever. But for a Christian to do it, it just tells me he's got like zero moral fiber balance whatsoever.
That'd be like a Christian Democrat backing abortion. I'll wait.
Well, so hold on.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
Boss
Hold
Baby
on.
said amen.
Hold
Just
on.
one day.
Christians who support abortion could support it for a number of reasons that are not quite as evil as you make it sound.
Mm-hmm.
I support. Hold on, listen. I support abortion, not in the sense that I support a woman going and having an aborted baby, but I know that I in my mind, we have to leave room for rape, incest, or to save the mother's life. Okay, we have to leave those.
Well, that's
my
that's
personal
your
opinion.
Yeah, yep.
That's my moral.
That's your
opinion.
moral boundary line.
Rape, incest, or to save the mother's life.
Okay.
And if rape and or incest is a criteria, we know that some women somewhere will lie if they want to get the abortion. And so even if it's 100 women or 5 women or 1 woman, we are going to create a perpetrator out of someone who wasn't a perpetrator and victimize a man because a woman wants to have an abortion. So for me, that's why abortion is on the table and legal, not because I think that it should be okay, but because I worry about the aftermath if we ban it, let alone the number of women that die in back alley abortion clinics like we saw in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would be far better off if we used our resources correctly to educate, provide outs, and to properly supplement women that are poor that need assistance, instead of Republicans who consistently on the federal level want to cut WIC and cut food stamps, cut daycare assistance, and cut public housing.
Well, all of that's, I love you, but I would suggest that all of those comments that you just made are politicized on their own rights. Well, what I'm saying is that whenever a Republican, for example, goes out and says we need to cut WIC, they're not saying we need to cut WIC. They're saying if we're going to pass this bill, we need to figure out how it's going to get paid for and how we're going to do it, because they're trying to be fiscally responsible. It is a sales pitch.
Aren't there a lot of Republicans that come out and say we're not going to give out handouts? We're not going to give out free programs. We don't want the social safety nets. There's a lot of them that say that.
I've never heard a Republican say we don't want social safety nets.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I've never heard one dumb enough to do it, because it would be a dumb thing to say. Many things in our country are social safety nets. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. We have plenty of programs in place that are that way, but they need to be used in a fiscally responsible way.
Agree with that.
And so, when you hear that conversation going on, you're hearing Republicans state effectually that, right? Well, we need to cut here. We need to cut here because we got to pay for this. We got to pay this for this program. And your comment about not liking DeSantis because he claims to be a Christian, listen, plenty of people are kitchen table Christians. Well, that's a whole debate for a show all on its own. Going to church on Sundays does not make you a Christian. Living your life as one makes you a Christian.
Using your Christianity as a campaign tool, though, makes you a tool.
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't think it gets used as really anything anymore in politics other than as a tool for attacking. And that's specifically for people on the far left using it like they used it to attack Mitt Romney and others. But generally speaking, the moderates don't tend to use religion anymore. And, eventually we'll have a, Catholic in the White House again.
Do you think that there's not pockets? I'm talking about the party as a whole or conservatism as a whole. But do you not think there are pockets that are still so vastly Christian that that has to be part of running for office with them.
Pockets like in a community
or just even nationally. Listen, Mitt Romney, how many Republican would not vote for him because he was a Mormon and not a Christian?
I never heard anybody say that.
You don't know?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure it did, but
No.
I'm just saying I never heard anybody say that.
That's the Nazi sign. You should never give that in public.
My elbow's bent.
Okay, all right. Are you leaving?
Well, yes,
But what? Come in. Come in.
Talk on the mic.
Come in. We've got the mic. It's a live
Talk on
radio
the mic.
show.
Yeah, talk on the mic. Go ahead. Quickly. We've only got a minute. Go ahead.
Yes. What?
I didn't vote for him because he's Mormon.
Who?
Mitt Romney.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go. That's one person. Look. You're gonna have bigots in every crowd. You just gotta. You just gotta find a way to get over it. So why are you flipping me off for it? Listen, I'm saying this as polite as I can. There's plenty of reasons why you might not like a candidate, but not voting for them because of their religion, but voting for other people just because they're another religion, to me, very short-sighted.
Heidi said, "How is it unchristian to send fully informed illegals to locations better equipped?"
Well, they
to
weren't
handle
fully
them?
informed, actually.
Yeah, so
but-
let's break that down. They were not fully informed, and they were not sent to a location better equipped to handle them. They were dropped in a residential neighborhood surrounded by a whole bunch of rich people. You know what happens when a whole bunch of rich people see non-rich people in the neighborhoods?
They call in the National Guard.
They freak the F out. I mean,
no, they called in the National Guard.
Yeah, but I'm saying the rich people freak the F out.
Excuse me, 911,
Listen.
Mexicans just got dropped off on a bus. You got to get here fast.
If the flight left and landed in Massachusetts and they were disembarked from the plane into custody in the state, that would be different. And I wouldn't have an issue with that. If Florida said, you want the illegals? Here you go. You take them, and they coordinated with Massachusetts and they took it, that's fine. But that's not what they did. They dropped them in a residential neighborhood around a whole bunch of rich people. I mean, I don't know how you can justify that. I don't understand. There's some crappy people in the world. All right, we're gonna wrap the show. We're not even gonna do after the show. We're just gonna end the show. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll see you Sunday at 8 o'clock. Frank Aquila by phone, and less than a month until I'm in the Caribbean. Good night, everybody.